Hey, it's 5 after the hour. So checking, are we recording? Yes, we are. Let us begin. So, let me. We will not be doing slides because obviously my technical capacities have a really hard limit. I thought it would be a good idea. And I was like, no, I just want to stay connected with you. So we are focusing today on how wealth work is world work. Your relationship with money is a spiritual challenge. And because I'm talking to the do-gooders. And it is more than just your prosperity. Your prosperity serves the world. Your poverty and limitation and suffering does not serve the world. And while I will go really deep into why we're not doing any spiritual bypassing here, we are not blaming or shaming anybody having a victim experience because that is part of the human experience and it has a sacred power of its own that we want to use. Uh, we are focusing today deeper than I ever have before on what is stopping you when you're doing all the right things and why slaying your money monster is so important this year, this fire horse year, and how actually the timing of this year and the energy of this year really serves you to slay the monster now. Because it's kind of, that old story about how the universe taps you with a feather to get your attention and you don't pay attention. So it comes back a little harder and a little harder and a little harder. And Fire Horse is like coming really fast and big, really amplifying and accelerating. So we want to get the message and we want to use that energy that serves liberation and momentum while we have it. So we're going to be together 60 minutes and then I'll go into Q&A. But I know a lot of you have things to do. So I want to respect that. Oh, I'm seeing more names that I recognize that aren't mine. Yay. Uh, Deb from the UK. It's just wonderful to see like all these people. So since we're going to be together for an hour and some of you obviously know me and you've heard my story, and some of you are new. And probably need a little background of why you should bother listening to me, and then we'll dive into like what this monster is. I think Laura Capel from France. Uh, here's my background for those of you who are new and returning friends. So currently, at this moment, my net worth is multiple millions of dollars, which kind of blows my mind. I am in the process of moving to a new house, which is why I'm sitting in this little corner because I can't let you see what the rest of the house looks like. The bookshelves are already emptying. Uh, I am happily married, actually, due to this process. Getting married. So far, we've been married 29 times in 21 countries to the same guy. Our 12th anniversary, the first wedding is coming up in May. I am leaving for Bali the day after. And I've been profiled by the Wall Street Journal. I've been on Coast to Coast radio multiple times as their money manifestation expert. I've been on all the TV networks and TV in Turkey and other countries and radio and all this stuff. And I've been coaching for 32 years as of this coming June, and I've coached thousands of clients. Uh, and what I've learned from coaching as long as I have, as many people as I have, And apologies to the people who coached with me way back when. I'm so glad that you had great results. And I know a lot more now than I did then. One of, oh, I'm jumping ahead. Let me back up. Sorry. Okay, so this is where I am now. And where I am now is nothing like where I came from. So 23 years ago, March of 2003, I already had the fancy education. I had already coached a bunch of clients who had gone on to become celebrities. I was coaching in the entertainment industry, and I was struggling to make $100 a month living in Los Angeles with all the fancy coaching certifications, the education, the testimonials, the website, the tagline, the brochures, the speaking engagements, everything everybody told me to do. Maybe you've heard some of those things. And if you're not a coach, and I love people who are not coaches, I mean, I love coaches and non-coaches, but you know what I'm talking about. There are things that you're told to do to grow your business, and you do all the things. And I'm doing all the things. In fact, I'm taking classes to teach me how to do the things I'm already doing really well. It's like the snake eating my own tail. And none of it is moving the dial. I'm still struggling to make $100 a month, which does not make sense. And it was soul crushing. I had that moment where I had just finished taking a class on overcoming sales objections, which is, they teach you what to say when somebody says, "Oh, I would love to, but I can't afford it. I don't have time, blah, 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 blah." And they teach you what to say. And I was such a good student. I would say it, and people would say, "Yeah, they would hire me." And 7 people in a row didn't show up for the first session and didn't pay. And that was when I sort of lost my mind because there was nothing left to do. So I'm really speaking to every one of you who is doing all the things, the good student, the good client, the good, the doing the things. And you just don't know why it's not working, whether it's money or it's love or it's a health thing. And it's crazy making because we were raised as children, do your homework, get and do your chores and you get a reward. But what if you do all this stuff and you aren't getting the reward? It really hurts. It feels like the universe is against you. So I was taking all the marketing classes. I live in LA, so I'm in the center of woo, and people were waving their hands and blowing into my third eye and speaking codes and changing my money DNA, and it didn't do a thing. My vision board was very pretty and useless. My mantras, my millionaire mindset, blah, nothing. So I am sitting before you as like a monumental poster child for failure. And the only thing that worked for me was something that hadn't been invented yet. And it sort of happened accidentally for me, which was I had a coach, which is insane to say because I'm living in LA making $100 a month, doesn't cover rent, doesn't cover insurance, doesn't cover food, doesn't cover gas, but I have a coach. Thank goodness. And he asked me a question that changed my life, that became the root of what I'm going to teach you today. When he asked me if my money was a person, who would my money be? And I saw this big, terrifying, scary guy. Not a real person, but it was my relationship with money. And in that moment, it became really clear why money was not in my life. If my subconscious had that feeling of money, it was like seeing what was going on below the surface. And that's what brought my change, was seeing what was unconscious to me, this monster, and getting rid of him and changing my relationship with money from this monster of scarcity and rejection and violence and cruelty and danger and all the values that I reject, and replacing him with love, also in the form of a person. So those of you who've been following me know that this is a 6-step process that I call financial alchemy, because alchemy is the transmutation of leaden human experience into gold, spiritual and material, because I've got the testimonials, to demonstrate, yeah, it does work financially too. Yay, which is good for marketing. But it's bigger than that because it's really your relationship with life. So that was the beginning of this journey in March. Wow, 23 years to the month ago. Uh, that led us here today and coaching thousands of clients. And, like Marina from Italy, who, when she called me in 2019, she was hemorrhaging money in her uh, high-end cold press juicing company in Italy. And she is this genius entrepreneur and came up with these formulas and the machinery and had the best product. And she was just losing money. And she wanted to sell the company. And she was young. She was 27 years old, which to me is young now. Uh, and all the adults, the parents, the attorneys, the business coaches were telling her that she couldn't do what she wanted to do. She wanted to sell it for 300 euro and no, sorry, 300,000 euro and keep all her IP and not stay on as a consultant. And everybody told her she couldn't do that. So she had a conversation with me about what was in the way and went with me to Bali, went home after Bali and sold her company for $300,000, kept her IP, didn't stay on as a consultant, and then came back and wanted a boyfriend. After that, she went to Burning Man, did not get a boyfriend, met a girl, and they've been married for 6 years and have a daughter named Athena. So, thousands of clients. What I've learned, having been coaching since 2004, back when dinosaurs roamed the earth and nobody knew what coach meant outside the context of sports. Change happens at the speed of safety. This is so important. So, for every one of you who has ever beat yourself up because you're doing all this stuff and you're stuck and you feel like there's something wrong with you, or people tell you there's something wrong with you, and you're just trying so hard. It has been my observation, having coached so many people, that A, you're not a failure. B, I do not even believe in the concept of self-sabotage. That doesn't make any sense. Like, every cell in our body exists to keep us safe and protected and alive. Self-sabotage does not make sense under this prime directive. What I do believe is when change isn't happening, something is not safe. And you are very successfully protecting yourself from that change. Unfortunately, you may need that change to survive and thrive and live the life that you know in your soul you're meant to live. And that becomes a conflict. But again, change happens at the speed of safety. If change isn't happening and you're doing all this stuff, something isn't safe. So we need to make it safe. And that's why we look at what isn't safe first, because spiritual bypassing is like putting a band-aid on like a scorpion bite. If you can't suck the poison out, it's going to go inward. So it's very important that we don't just high five and skip the the opening, the portal to this change that we want to create. And for example, I had a client years back named Jean, and she spent $42,000 and 6 years with a law of attraction coach and never saw any results. So she thought it was something wrong with her. Her coach told her it was something wrong with her. She did all of her homework. Nothing happened. And then she hired me. And by the way, she was on public assistance and she hired me. And within 2 months, she got her dream job. Not the one she applied for, but the better one that she actually wanted. Got off public assistance, got into a better housing situation, better neighborhood, nicer place, and got a boyfriend. because we took care of the monster first. So, for those of you who are new to this work, yay, welcome. For those of you who are familiar with my work, you're here for a reason. Even if we've slayed your monster, if you've slayed your monster, and there's a few of you here that I know personally for that, here's the thing. Life happens and we continue to evolve. And when we see stuff in the world going on, it affects us, especially if we're sensitive and do-gooders and care. But it will affect us. Anything that makes the world feel unsafe or unkind or unwelcoming is going to affect us. Even if intellectually we can rationalize it and we know better, emotionally, and that's where the subconscious feeds, honestly, stuff is going on. So, for example, a lot of very rich, bad people have been identified this year. And hallelujah, some of them who never, ever thought they were ever going to face consequences are facing consequences. Yay. But at the same time, and I'm not going to name names, plug in the villain of your choice because there are plenty to go around. We are seeing people who have been doing horrific abuse for decades without any consequences, shielded by money, as if money is a predator, a terrorist, a child abuser, a rapist, all those things. And we file that away because we have this amygdala in the back of our head. Some people call it the reptile brain, but it is the most evolved part of our brain. It's been evolving for hundreds of millions of years to keep us safe. And then we have this higher reasoning, creative, problem solving, genius part of the brain in the front, which is such a baby. It's so fresh and new. And it is probably what makes us the most human, but it doesn't have as firm a evolutionary footprint as the reaction part of the brain in the back. And the thing with the reactive amygdala, which really plugs into all of our feelings of fear and outrage, it's what social media speaks to, uh, is the higher the emotion, the lower our intelligence. The intelligence flowers here when we're relaxed and safe. Then we can see things that we can't see otherwise. But the amygdala and the subconscious below our awareness is keeping track of every danger. And the brain generalizes. So when you see stories about rich people doing bad things and wars and terror attacks and pollution and the stuff, our brain generalizes. We have to, otherwise, we would have to learn what a chair is every day of our lives. But instead, we sit on a couple of chairs and now we recognize anything we can sit on. Hallelujah. Saves us so much time and energy. But at the same time, we see a few stories of men and women who are really wealthy doing terrible things, getting away with it, and our brain starts to make a list. And then it starts to suppress what doesn't feed that narrative. So then we don't hear about, also the media doesn't cover rich people doing good things because it's not as interesting. If, the whole thing, what is it? If it bleeds, it leads. Um, Algorithms too, feeding on upset. But we start to give less weight to all the financially resourced people who are doing philanthropy and doing good works. It's not as interesting. It doesn't get as much coverage. And it gets less weight because it's not affecting our immediate survival. So with reticular activation, we just see more and more evidence that money leads to perversity and cruelty and bad things. And as sensitive human beings who do not want to be monsters, we don't want to have any part of that system of oppression. And that becomes a problem for do-gooders because we are pushing away the thing that we want and need and deserve. And I'm talking primarily about money because, Money Monster is in the title. But this is also true for love relationships and health issues. And Danielle, Danielle posts, I'm crying as you describe this. I'm really glad that it's landing. Because what I want while we're here together is I don't want this to be another interesting intellectual exercise only because that doesn't work. Like my husband and I were having dinner with a couple we just met, and we were just talking about religion and the nature of the universe and, our very like cursory understanding of quantum physics and all that stuff for hours and hours and hours and hours. It was lots and lots of fun. That's not where change comes from, especially when we're dealing with getting our conscious intentions and our subconscious working together because all of our beliefs, attitudes, and actions come from our unconscious, which means that if I want to go in that direction and my unconscious wants to go in that direction, I'm going to go in that direction. So we need to get them talking together so that we can move forward. Um, I know I've used this metaphor before, and now I see other people using it, which is when you're protecting yourself from what you want, it's like driving with the brakes on. Because we have very powerful intentions. And I'm not just speaking to people who are currently in financial drama or scarcity. I'm also talking to people who have slayed their money monsters already and have enjoyed fruits of that and breakthroughs and maybe doing really, really well financially. And you feel like something is going on that you want to handle before it becomes a problem. Uh, Last year, if you've been following me for a while, you may have seen my interview summit with Deborah Hurwitz, who went with me to Bali in 2018. And at the time, she was like really scared to go because uh, it was a lot of money, and she didn't know if it was responsible or should be spent on other things. And she was, feeling the scarcity and drama and money, drama in her personal life. They're related. And I'll go into that in a minute because I want to keep track of time and honor the hour. But after Bali, she has made millions of dollars. And she even took me out a few months ago to got me a, gave me a $400 dinner as a thank you gift. So financially super secure. And she wanted me on her summit, not to interview me, but to do a live coaching demo, which is something I really don't do. But because I had coached her and we'd already done the heavy lifting, and because she had stayed in contact with me and was leaving me voice messages and stuff about her money honey and more breakthroughs and more monster slangs, I figured this is that's very likely that I can take her from her current monster to her new honey in this little amount of time. Because honestly, I never know how long it's going to take. And I have really misjudged people I thought would be easy, turned into like this very long thing. But so I said yes, and we did it on her summit live. And I may still have the video of that. But the reason she did it was even though she was making all that money, world events were making the world feel unsafe. And she knew that eventually that would show up in her relationship with money because relationship with money is a mirror of our relationship with life. And now we're really getting into the content. Here's what I know, having coached thousands of people over 32 something years. Your money drama. Yes, there are real circumstances. I'm not teaching, oh my God, this is all in your head. This is all mindset. I'm not. I have feelings about mindset. I think mindset is it's great, but again, all of our attitudes, beliefs and actions are below the surface, below mindset, below our consciousness. And so we can have the mindset that I'm going on a diet and then I see the cake and it go the mindset is not enough for appetite and our just core needs for safety. Safety and approval, self-expression, all these things. So our relationship with money mirrors. This is why it's so sticky and complicated. And that these days we talk about our sex lives and loud voices in restaurants. How do I know? I've heard it. But people get very shy about money for very good reason, because money represents some of our most vulnerable experiences as human beings. Money represents love. Am I loved? Our first experience of money was our parents. Did they love us or did they not? My mother did not. I thought my grandmother was exaggerating when she said, your mother hates you. Turns out that was true. Um, Worth. Do people value me? Do I feel worthy? Am I good enough? I think that's the deepest core pain of every human being. Am I good enough? Is there something wrong with me? Safety. Am I safe? Is this world a safe place? And we're not just talking about money, but we're talking about illness, injuries, violence, accidents, war, pollution, climate, all the things that make the world a not safe place. Money represents safety. And of course, power. Do I feel powerful or do I feel powerless? When have I felt powerless? When was I in fact powerless? When we were children, we did not have a lot of say in what happened to us and what we experienced. So all these experiences of hurt and injury and lack of safety, and this is why I'm saying spiritual bypassing is really not going to help you having this change. We, in fact, want to go in the other direction. That's why I call this alchemy, again, the transmutation of leaden experience into gold. And those victim experiences, and I really want you to claim them, whatever they are for you. And they may be really big and dramatic, and you may think they're really little. It's not a competition. And it's not about how big the event was, it's about the impact on you now. I had a client back in the olden days, back in like 2004, 2005. This was my first $1 million manifestation client, and it was a guy. Just in case you were wondering if I ever coach men, I've always coached men. Um, and his root cause was this innocent event when he was maybe 3 or 4, and he was playing doctor with a little girl, meaning they're just like checking each other out. And an adult came in, and we don't remember what she said or did, but he remembers his shame and his feeling that there was something really wrong with him. And that innocent little life event when he was 3 or 4 years old shadowed him in all his relationships with women as an adult and his relationship with money. And that's where we dug up the root cause of what became his money monster. And when we got rid of the money monster and replaced her or it or whatever it was with a new money honey, I remember the money honey because she was an elegant French woman. Uh, he made over $1 million in a few, I think it was 6 weeks. Because, and I have this theory that I just came to me over the last year, all that work that you've been doing and putting into things all those years and hitting that block, I've noticed a tendency that when what you want becomes safe, all that energy has been building up and it now has a place to go. So I noticed a very strange tendency of very big results to come in quickly, whether it's money, love, health, whatever, because all that energy it was like planting the seeds and now they can fruit. It's why when I slayed my love monster in 2012, I met my now husband 2 months later. I was 45, never married, ever. And 18 months later, we got married for the first time. And within 24 hours, he came up with the idea, let's get married 100 times in 100 countries. And that's what I mean about like, I was on the hunt for this guy since I was 4.5. And I chased Brian Patterson under the piano on his 5th birthday. And by the way, Brian remembers that. Uh, all that energy had a place to go with, just a bigger result than I anticipated. So, where I want to go now is now that we're in this fire horse year, all this, I'm noticing things that are hidden below the surface are coming out. The unhappy side of that is 3 people I know were diagnosed with cancer in the last week, which means it was already there. One of these people was searching for the root cause of her illnesses for years. It's a horrible diagnosis. It's really scary. But when you have it, you can do something with it. So we have this fire horse dynamic of whatever is happening wants to come out. And that's what I want to use on this call in the time we have left. So, what I invite you to do with all the information that I've given you, I'm sure things are already popcorning in your mind of what might contribute to your own personal money monster. If we were to imagine that anything that has ever made you feel unloved, unworthy, unsafe, or powerless, and it doesn't have to be big, and it can be the thing that you've already healed. But if it popped into your mind, we get to use it again because you've already paid with your pain. So we get to milk it for the rest of your life whenever it comes up. And I just want you to think of what might be contributing to your own monstrous relationship with life and by extension, money. And if you could just drop something in the chat, and it could be personal, and it can be a world event because there certainly are world events going on right now. I'm seeing gas prices over $8 in Los Angeles. So there's stuff happening. Just drop it in the chat. I'd like to see what's popping for you so that I can get a sense of where you are. Beautiful. And I'm respecting everybody's privacy. So anything I share, I'm not going to share with a name. So really beautiful, deep stuff, not feeling good enough, feeling shamed and unloved. I exactly know what that feels like. Conditioned to believe that you're not worthy and will burn in hell. Oh my God, that is a huge counterintention right there. And a counterintention is, we want to achieve this thing, but the counterintention is why we don't want to. And there are always really good reasons. And I really want us to respect and honor that. Parents screaming fights about money. Ooh, huddling in terror. See, that's the bigger thing. And this is really big. Oh, work being stolen, betrayal, ouch. Being alone, yes. Uh, shame and unloved, again, fatigue. Yeah. It's almost like the monster is attacking your body and sucking your life force. Doing all the right things. Why is it not working? Um, wow, being shut down. Yeah. Feeling lack. Yeah. Fear of not having enough. By the way, back in 2012, I had a session with a billionaire because the money was really getting, and he didn't start out that way. He was actually a Palestinian who made $1 billion in real estate in the Middle East. And his monster was getting in the way of his relationship with his children and his fear that they would squander it and lose it after he died, especially his son. And so money was getting in the way of love for him. And there was still the fear of losing it and his legacy. Any way that money gets in the way of love or the lifestyle you desire, a healthy, happy lifestyle, or a positive legacy. Back in 2005, I did a coaching session with a wonderful man named Bill Barron. And he had made millions of dollars in the music industry. And then he became a coach. And as a coach, he had one client who would only pay him $25 a month and would only coach with him at 5 a.m. And when we worked together, his monster would only let him make money doing what he didn't believe in. That was his monster. So changing a monster that would allow him to succeed and prosper as a coach, that was the money. He needed a relationship with money that loved him, believed in him, shared his values, and wanted to do the same thing. And then he became a hugely successful multi-million dollar revenue generating every year coach. So, oh, Elizabeth already is sharing her money honey stuff. Yay. Suppressed creative energy. Okay, so I digressed, shame on me, sorry, into like some positive stuff. Let's go back into the monster. And I want you to feel your monster. The things that happened in your life or are happening in your life now that make you feel unloved, not good enough, not deserving, scared, helpless. Even if your life is great and you're still feeling that gnawing, what's going to happen? You can't keep it up. It's not going to last. That kind of stuff. And I want you to feel how big this fear and this hurt is right now. Diving into whatever's made you feel unloved, unworthy. What is making you feel unlovable, unworthy, unsafe, and helpless in the face of this thing? And I want you to feel how big it is. And by the way, the bigger, the better. The bigger it is, the more leverage we have. So how big, if we were to imagine that all this pain and hurt and the betrayals and the worst thing you've ever thought or felt about yourself, we're going to put that into this other being, this other entity. And how big is this being, this monstrous being? And is it hot or is it cold? What does it smell like? This evil, awful hurt. How big is it? Does it feel hot or cold? And what does it smell like? What do its fingernails look like? And if you're somebody who doesn't see visual representations in your head, no problem. What does its fingernails feel like? And whenever I ask what something looks like, you'll either see it if you aren't a seeing person. Ask yourself what it feels like or smells like. What do its teeth look like? What do its eyes look like or feel like? What is its hair like? And when you think of the worst thing that has ever been said to you or that you said to yourself, put those words in that monster's mouth. What does this monster want to do to you? And remember, this monster is all bad. That's right, keep you in fear and paralyzed. And it's huge, and no, you didn't know it was there. That's what we're here for today. And I want you to look honestly at what this entity has already done to you in your life. What has cost you financially, emotionally, physically. What it has done and is still doing to you. And what it will do if it isn't stopped. We're bringing all that to the surface. Good work. And Danielle says that she found a monster years ago, but it's bigger and different now. Good. That means you're evolving and you're getting bigger. So now you have a moment of decision. Only one of you gets to survive. I strongly suggest that you choose yourself. How many of you choose you? Raise your hand or drop a message in the chat. Let me know that you are choosing you. Bravo. Can I suggest something now that could help you go even deeper and destroy this monster for good? Yay? Thumbs up? Okay. Thank you. So it has always been my intention that every person in the world destroys their monster. Whether it's money, love, health, it shows up in different places. I met a very wealthy man at a wedding a few years ago. Money is not his monster. Money is what makes him feel safe. Love was his monster. It because money, love, and health are our spiritual teachers. And whatever comes up is a portal for our evolution and empowerment. When money is your monster, congratulations, it will get your attention faster and more urgently than anything else. Deb mentioned that her monster has never let her find love or be loved. That's why I always say that, that's why I always mention love first when I'm talking about the money monster. You'll notice I didn't talk about your money story because I've never actually found the monster in the money story. It's what is beneath and behind the money story, which always begins with love. Because I think that's our first human need. And being valued is a fundamental human need. Being safe, fundamental human need. And when these are violated, we have a monster. So again, it's always been my intention that everybody is able to slay their monster, which is why I've written my books and I do my classes and I've got products and programs and all that kind of stuff. And right now, I am leading up to my 14th ever Ultimate Money Goddess retreat in Bali, which will be this year, May 31st to June 5th. And to the guys watching, my apologies. This event is women only. It's the only thing I do that is women only. And if you're a guy and you want to discuss what's available to you, just DM me because I love you. I just can't take you on this. Um, this retreat, and there are three people here that I can see by name who have actually done this with me. Yay. And one who's coming with me. Uh, I limit it very, I limit it to 8 because I cannot possibly coach every person to the depth that I want to and need to coach if it's more than that. And usually it's less than 8 and it fills up all the time fine. Uh, it's a 6-day retreat in Bali in this beautiful paradise, different environment, lights up the neurology. And there's also this intense spiritual energy, which I have found really, really perfect for the kind of change that I want to create. Uh, the size, keeping it so small, is the point because it is a coaching retreat. I encourage participants to do all the tourism stuff afterwards because my job is to make sure that we slay whatever monster you bring and you have a money honey and you know it. And it's unlike anything you've experienced before. And then we do a lot of coaching after that because I am your coach for 6 weeks to have just access to me for what comes up. But we start with the money monster because that is the gatekeeper. It is both everything that has ever made you want to not be alive, and it's also the key to everything you've ever wanted to become. I've I've noticed in all these years of coaching that money is the number one excuse human beings give, especially women, for what we can't have, do, or be. So it is the perfect paying door for life transformation because it's so much bigger than just money. Uh, this is my number one millionaire's maker. Perry came to the retreat. She had zero in her bank account. She had to borrow the money to come to my retreat, and she made her first $12 million over the next 3 years. Uh, Anna came to, and I think Christiana's here, so I think Anna was on that one in Mexico. That was, I did a couple of Mexico instead of Bali. And Anna was funny because she was very, very skeptical. And then she made, I think it was $1.2 million in the next 2 months, 1 point something million dollars over the next 2 months. And she was like, oh my God, this works. Um, I've designed it to be a money goddess immersive experience. So yeah, while coaching is the heart and the center and the top priority, you will get your private suite. It's not a dorm. You will have your soaker tub. Beautiful, delicious food, whether you are vegan or keto, like Christiane. Uh, my driver will pick you up because women who have just spent hours and hours and hours going to another continent or country, depending on where you're starting from, don't need to figure out how to get to their hotel with a stranger. I place it way out in Bali, which is super far for me. I've had clients, from Thailand and Australia and New Zealand and Kazakhstan, and with a lot easier for them to get to. But for those of us from Europe or South Africa or South America or North America, it's a hike. And the value of that is nobody is there casually. The stakes are really high, which is the ideal setting for transformation because we're not just there for ourselves, but we're sharing this really intense experience with each other. And by the way, I'm talking about this retreat now. I'm not selling this retreat on this webinar. There's going to be no link to give me money on this webinar. I'm just telling you about it so that if you're interested, you can schedule a conversation with me in a momentum session. And I'll get to that in a second. One more thing about the retreat is, and I throw in goddess headshots. Because when you have a life-changing experience, you want to see who you were in that moment so then when life happens down the road, you can see that photo of yourself and remember who you are. And it's also very practical for personal and professional purposes. I've seen clients use them for dating profiles, and my client Gabby used her Bali photo for her billboard on Times Square. She went from six figures in debt to the CEO of Latino Wall Street, multimillionaire on the Forbes Finance Council. Uh, Space is limited to 8 women max. We're almost full. So I'm telling you this because I, and I'm going to drop the link right now. I want to encourage you to book a free momentum session with me as soon as possible. And I want you to choose it based on what your soul is telling you, not what you think you can do. Uh, Client Karen was, when she went to Bali with me in 2016, she was a public school teacher. Money was not easy for her. After the retreat, she started making so much money that she estimates that she has spent over $100,000 on personal development events and classes, not because she needs them, but because she really likes them. Like she went on a luxury cruise of Egypt with, I think it was Joe Dispenza or somebody like that. And she's actually coming back to Bali with me this year, 10 years after she went the first time. So the retreat is almost full. The window is closing. And I'm moving. My husband says, we're moving in a week to 10 days. And I'm like, you have to give me more notice. We don't have the date yet, but so I want to, I figure I can fit in as many momentum sessions as I can in the next week to 2 weeks before we actually move. And here's the thing. We're going to talk about your money monster. We're going to talk about where you are in life and where you are going, where you want to go. And then we'll talk about the retreat and whether it happens to be a good fit for you or a good fit for you this year. It is or it isn't. Any answer is good. And if the retreat is not for you this year, I promise I will make some other suggestions of what would be a good next step for you, given what I've learned about you. Mostly, I just want to connect with you first. I'm very, very intentional about who goes on my retreats. Every year, I always have the perfect group because I want it to, I want it to just be a win for everybody. So I want to really feel into what is in your highest good and get to know you. And then if it feels like a good fit for both of us, I will issue you an invitation and you can decide. And if it's not, you have lost no money and we had a connection, you'll have more clarity, and I will have suggestions for you on what might help you next. So, uh, it's first come, first serve. So please, if this is calling to you, if your soul is saying yes, maybe you've been thinking about it for years, or maybe you just found out about me and you don't know why. Because I've had that. I don't know why, but I knew I had to do it. I get that too. Go to beamoneygoddess.com and fill out the form for the momentum session. Uh, Tanya went with me in 2013. And at the time she came to me with Bali, she was living in a trailer park in Pennsylvania. She had no water or electricity, and she had to quit her job to come. And I would not have accepted her if I didn't know in my bones that she could get that job back when she got home. And she did get her job back when she got home, but she got fewer days and more money. And then went to school and got her MA and opened her own consulting firm. And now she is the CEO of a multi-million dollar grant writing company. All of her employees are single moms and they're all profit sharing because those are her values. So apply just for a momentum session so I can get to know you and we can connect. And now I'm going to turn this over to Q&A. And you can have your camera on or your camera off because you know what's best for you. And do you have any questions about the retreat or what we have done today on this call? You can raise your hand or unmute yourself or drop a question in the chat. Whatever works for you. And let's see if we have any questions, comments, Bueller. Laura needs to jump by. Mwah. Deb didn't realize she had a money monster. Danielle, uh, please unmute.
Hi there.
Go ahead.
I'm just gonna unblock the video too. Hi
Great.
Morgana. It's great to
Hi.
see and hear you again. Uh and I don't think Bali's gonna be for me again this year.
Mm.
Some health stuff going on for me and my husband. But so I mentioned in the chat that it seems as though my money monster is different than the one I had found a few years ago. Um, and what's feeding into it is a number of different things. Nothing with me is simple. So, um, it's the thing I mentioned in the chat about huddling at the top of the stairs while my parents were screaming at each other about money. There's okay, I'll put it out there since, well, anyway, I was abused by a couple of different members of my family from a very early age. Um, I, my husband's ex-wife has stripped us of resources. She's a liar and a borderline personality, and she thinks the world owes her a living. And those are just a few of the things. So, in other words, it's not easy to figure out what kind of monster I have because it seems to be so many, it is so many things.
Well, the monster is bigger than any one of the things. And we don't make it anyone you know because it's bigger than anyone you know.
Mm.
But I would take all of that, everything that has made life unfair or hurtful, and put it into a monster container big enough for everything that you don't want in your life experience.
Mm.
And the reason I say the bigger the monster, the better, Few reasons. There's more energy goes into destroying it, more energy is released.
Okay.
I believe our victim experiences are kind of store a lot of latent energy that gets released when we slay the monster. And so put everything that you do not want in your life experience into this big monster and then flesh it out the way I was guiding you to and then destroy it.
Okay.
And then of course we never want to live with the vacuum. So you want to replace it with the money honey. Since I didn't do the second half of the process in this event, go to my website and you will find resources
Yeah.
for the complete process. Um, and Danielle, and I'm saying this to everyone who is wanting to go deeper. I know that Bali is not right for you this year, but I might have suggestions for things that might be right for you this year instead.
Mhm.
I estimate that I have room for about 20 momentum sessions if I really pack them in. So I would just say fill out the application. I am not in the business of talking anybody into anything. You already know if you want to go to Bali with me this year, that's fine. And then it's really just figuring out the logistics and if it makes sense this year. Because I've actually uh had instances where somebody wanted to come, had the money in hand, and I knew that there were circumstances that would make it harmful for that person.
Hmm.
And I want everybody to be safe to the best of my ability. So, uh, yeah, I like to connect with people, and if Bali isn't the thing, there are other things. Um,
I so want to go to Bali with you, but
yeah, that's fine. Again, divine timing, divine
yeah,
timing.
exactly.
Yeah. Uh, so I don't need to know on this call whether you're coming or you're not. Just if there's if there's a desire to look into it, then just go to beamoneygoddess.com and fill out the form and we'll have a conversation. And funny things happen when I have conversations with people because my intention is always to serve and help. That's why I even mentioned, to the guys on the call, yeah, you can't do Bali. Sorry. I don't have a retreat for you at this time, but there are other things. So, DM me and we can look at other things. Any other questions? Before we wrap it up, I want to make sure everybody is served. Um, I don't know who said this, but my monster changes every time I do this, which relates to does our money honey change every time we slay the monster? Okay. So, yeah, I have a different monster today than I had in 2003. Like they're not even in the same ballpark, different sources, different reasons. And there are also wounds that come up again and again. But because there's a new trigger, a new iteration, and a new evolution. And every time I slay a monster and I then come out the other side and have a conversation with my money honey, I get new information. And by information, it's the kind of information that changes me in my life. So it's really deep stuff. I get like that next piece of the puzzle for me. And as I get bigger, these monsters can be bigger or more severe, but with practice, I just get better at slaying them, which is part of the thing why this retreat is a week, because I don't want you to just like slay a monster and see ya. I want to then layer in the tools and the resources for now what? how to stay in relationship with your money, what to do if you need to slay a new monster. And it is easier, as you know, that I've got, and Sandy knows about this, this next level ascension program that is invite only for people I've already coached, either privately or in my Bali retreat. And slaying monsters gets really easy. It's like all I have to do is set it up uh because you become such masters of monster slaying. And being in my presence and my energy facilitates it. I create the safety, and I do serve as a catalyst that allows you to go farther, deeper, and faster than on your own. Because I think that's the way human beings are built. Even I, when I slay my monster, I find some kind of witness to be with me because I can go farther with sort of a presence and non-interfering, caring presence. I know I'm not going to get lost out in money monster, like in this money monster sea. It's like that string back. Um, Hi, Isabel. Uh, oh, thank you. Isabel writes, doesn't have a question, but thank you for the call. It reminded me that it's a long time since I've slayed the monster, time to do it again, and I'd forgotten about the money honey. I remember what he looks like, but I lost touch with him. That's, again, one of the things that I really focus on and why the retreat is a week is because it's hard enough to have an ongoing relationship with a human being who has physical form or any entity. Like my cats remind me when they want to be fed at 5 o'clock in the morning while I'm asleep. Um, but having a relationship with this imaginary entity to remember and stay in touch, it takes more effort. And sometimes your money honey will remind you to get into relationship because some kind of financial drama or life drama shows up that requires you to go, oh, heck, let me check into this. Do I need to slay a new monster? Do I just need to talk to my money honey? Isabel will be slaying a money monster this weekend. Yay, Isabel. Uh, can I tell you more about the momentum call? It is a conversation to, I want to find out more about your monster, what is going on with you, and what you need. And yes, I want to fill the final couple spots in my Bali retreat. That's part of why I'm doing this. And there are more of you than there are spots. So I'm not trying to get every single one of you on my retreat, but I do want to connect and help. And that's what the momentum call is. Uh, I also struggle with having the money honey come in after I slay the monster. Maybe I'm not saying it right. Oh, Sochi, I'm so glad that you brought that up. This is honestly why I spent this whole hour focusing on the monster. Because if something else doesn't work, I always have to go back to the earlier steps. And the place where the foundation of everything is, did the monster go deep enough? And was the monster real enough? And is the monster gone enough? And sometimes, and by the way, and I've had this in Bali where it might take a few iterations to really get it gone. Everybody is different. So there is no right or wrong. There's just what will work for you. And it may take a few iterations to get every little bit of money monster out and gone. And then you know it. And when the monster is completely gone, all that remains is love. All that remains is love. And then we give that personhood. And that changes your entire relationship with life, yourself, and money. Thank you for asking that question. Uh, and I'm going to drop the link one more time. Be a money goddess.com. It is a page that has all the details about the retreat. And then just scroll down to the bottom or click on any of the links to go to the bottom and just fill out an application. Again, you cannot give me money directly because I want to make sure that this is the right choice for you and for me and the group. Because I want, oh, this is going to sound, I want happy endings, but not in that like creepy massage parlor way. Um, so that's really all there is. We have come to the end of this activation. I hope it was deep and motivating for you. I hope that it makes it easier for you to slay your money monster. And if you want to go deeper with me, I have just made a way. Coaching with me privately starts at 12,000 to 70,000, and I'm giving you an opportunity to have one-on-one time with me for free so that we can look at what is best for you next. It's not a coaching call, although it's not unusual for transformation to happen because that's kind of my thing. But I want to find what is good for you. And I do want to find my next amazing money goddesses because I really love my money goddesses. And I'm so happy to see so many of you here today. So, mwah! This has been recorded, and I will, for anybody who came late and missed something, I will be sending out the recording later. Thank you so much for joining with me. And before we go, just to sort of lock it into your neurology, I want you to drop one word into the chat that will help you anchor the most important thing that you learned today. Just one word to help you anchor for yourself some value that you're going to take away that's going to empower you moving forward. One thing you are taking away from today. Oh, I'm seeing so many good words here. Beautiful. Beautiful. Great. Keep going. Oh, nice. Ah, engulf this flame. That's so good. Resilience. I got this. Ease, trust, love, self-love. Uh, Visualizing the monster worth. Beautiful. Just lock that in. Independence. Yes, especially it's a fire horse. I am a natal fire horse here, so I relate to the values of freedom and liberation and fun and authenticity. That these are fire horse values. That's what this year is about. Let's ride this to the finish line of this year. Okay, and now I really mean it. Now I'm going to close the room. Namaste to you all. Bye. Mwah.